Sarah Huville and welcome to We Are The Table. And today I have the amazing Katrina Tarrant, CEO of Urban Real Estate. And I'm so excited, Kat, for you to be on here. We go a little bit back.
We do. I'm excited too.
And you're one of a very small amount of women in this industry who puts themselves out there, who works with fair trading, who has a bit of a profile, but you haven't been immune to all the shit that women have to deal with anyway.
No, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring you on, especially in relation to stuff that's happened in the past year or so. I think a lot of people coming into the industry, women in particular, will be able to take a lot away from it. And you are really someone that they can look up to, is my view. So welcome to the podcast. Thank you for agreeing to be on it. Let's start from the beginning. How did you get into real estate?
How did I get into real estate? So it was back in 1993. So I'm mindful some people watching would not have been literally born.
Yeah.
And so just a very brief story. I moved out of home when I was 17. I grew up in a pretty the wrong side of the tracks, I guess. Mm-hmm. Abusive home. It wasn't a safe environment. So I left home when I was 17 with a garbage bag of my belongings, lied to a real estate agent and rented a townhouse at Macquarie Fields.
Wow.
I lied about my age. Don't do that, people. It was paper ID back then, so you could kind of, and you know, I think that real estate agent kind of knew, but he gave me a go.
Okay.
And I moved into a townhouse at Macquarie Fields. My next door neighbour was a drug dealer and a bikie, and I was still safer than staying at my own home.
Wow.
And 17-year-old girl out in the world. So that real estate agent really gave me a chance, you know, to survive. And then I thought about, well, how am I going to thrive? I was working in the city as an office junior, and I thought, I want to do what he did for me. I want to give back to people and change their lives. So, I started studying at night. Back then, to be a real estate agent, it was 3 years, 2 nights a week. So I would work in the city all day. Then I'd catch a train 2 nights a week to Campbelltown TAFE. 60 of us started that real estate course and 3 of us graduated.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you didn't need a license or a certificate or anything. You didn't have to do it. So if you were doing it, I guess it was a commitment to wanting to be a business owner or a licensee in charge. And I, you know, went all in and saw the bigger picture and wanted to commit myself. It just gave me a community to be part of as well. I was this young girl in this world on my own, and then I feel like real estate gave me a family. And that's why I still love it so much.
It is a bit like a family, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then you had your own quite young.
Yeah, so young. So I was a receptionist at LJ Hooker in Camden, and I met my first husband. And so I married into a real estate family. So his parents had 5 offices and owned 25% share of a franchising group.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it kind of got me into franchising really quickly. And I always say, you know, my gradient was probably easier than most because I was John Swindell's daughter-in-law.
Okay.
So I used to type all the minutes of the Nationwide Realty board meetings.
Wow.
And that's how you learn stuff, right? That's how I learned franchising, by argy-bargy typing the minutes and the conversations they had. So, you know, I got promoted through the ranks rather quickly.
Okay.
I got my license, which meant I become a licensee in charge of an office. My husband, who I did meet studying, he never got his license. So I was able to run the office and he wasn't. And it kind of went from there.
And then you had your son.
Yes, I have 2 children. I have a daughter and a son. And Lockie was born in the thick of us owning offices and things like that. I went to work on the Thursday before Easter. He was born on the Easter Monday.
Was he early or you just worked up?
I just worked the whole way through. They brought the wages book into the hospital for me to do the wages. And then I was back at work 3 weeks later.
Oh, my God.
So, I mean, it takes a village. Wonderful mother-in-law.
Yeah.
I always say I'm the mother of 2 children. I don't know how to toilet train a child. I didn't do any of that. I went,
you're very lucky.
I went to work, and I think maybe going to work was a little bit easier. So,
do you regret any of that, though?
No. Sometimes, I mean, when I look back, Lockie said his first word to my mother-in-law and took his first steps to Taylor I was home with. What I've learned over the years is kids don't kind of have a huge recall of that period of time.
No.
But as they get older, they definitely don't always remember when you were there, but remember when you weren't. So where my career changed a little bit for me is when my kids started school and started doing sports after school, you know, talking about soccer training and training. That's when I wanted to have that time back to be able to be at the training and go to the games on Saturdays and things like that. So there was a period of their younger life that I definitely wasn't around.
Yeah.
But then certainly once sort of school age kicked in, my career changed for me.
So how did you change your career for that to fit in around mum life?
Yeah, it was a big thing. So in between all that, I went through divorce quite young. So I was married young. So I was married at 19, 2 young children, fairy tale life in this big, beautiful house, and then divorced and had to walk away from our business. That was part of it, that I'd walk away from our family business. So I went back into property management. So I went from being an office manager and running an organisation because I could negotiate that part-time and school hours.
Yeah, the flexibility.
And I had a bit of flexibility even back then, which was unusual, but I had industry profile, and I just went to a lot of my mates who owned agencies and said, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do. And they offered me that flexibility. So work school hours, I picked my kids up from school every afternoon, and I didn't have to work weekends.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think that's so, like, people have this obvious perception of real estate that it is nonstop, and it is. It is very much nonstop. But it can also be brilliant if you are raising a family, in order that you can work your days to be able to be available for pickups. You know, when I first started in real estate, we had to work on Saturdays. And then I remember leaving that agency and then going to another agency, and, you know, the property managers didn't have to work Saturdays. And that was kind of like when that shift changed. And I was like, oh my God, I don't have to work Saturdays. Yeah. Like, I just thought that was always going to be on my cards in real estate. So I think a lot of women who are thinking of real estate as a career and don't necessarily see how it could fit in if they wanted to be a mum. I think, yes, there is a period of time where it will be very difficult. But if you're good at it and you ask for it, you can probably make it work with raising children.
I think you definitely can. I mean, we employ a lot of beautiful mums at Urban Real Estate, and we're incredibly flexible around that and making sure we don't want people to miss out on those opportunities. If your kid's getting an award at school, you know, the thing about real estate also is typically if you work in agency as opposed to maybe corporate, is you work close to home.
Yeah.
So there is that vicinity or proximity, so you can get to the school and things like that. So we always encourage those moments with our team members and to make sure that they're not missing. You know, something I've definitely learnt over the years, for a long time, my full identity was my job, and I learned that you can put everything in it and sometimes it still doesn't matter, and that came at the cost of my family.
Okay.
So now, you know, I'm a proud leader and I love leading Urban and the team, and I work really hard every day, but my friends and my family do come first.
Absolutely.
And as they should, and and your job is shouldn't be who you are, it's what you do.
Yeah.
And the two can sit really nicely together if you put the boundaries in place.
Absolutely. So you touched briefly then on corporate. So you've obviously been in the corporate. I think when we met, you were at Rain and Horn Corporate.
Yes.
And so then from there, you then became the CEO of Harcourts, New South Wales ACT.
Yes.
Now, this is still pretty fresh, right? Like, so how long ago did that relationship end?
September last year. Yeah.
Okay. How long had you been at Harcourts for?
Just under 4 years.
And you were a trailblazer in that position. Now, are you comfortable talking about how that all ended?
Yeah, so, and I think like anything in life, there are punctuation points that happen that are unexpected. So I had 4 beautiful years at Harcourts. I really loved, as I did at Rain and Horn, and all of my corporate roles, I've been really blessed to be given the keys, you know, to us, you know, and to be able to run the organisation or work with the principals. I really loved that brand. I was really proud of that job. I kind of walked in, and New South Wales in particular had gone to weed, like no one had been watering it, nurturing it and looking after it. And it was just, and the people had been let down. Like I just, you know, for the first 6 months kind of got beaten up. Every office I walked into, they're like, oh, new CEO, heard it all before.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Yeah, like really, really disappointing. And I couldn't actually pay for the sins of the past. But what I could do is make them a promise, you know, if we could draw a line in the sand, that we could move forward and have deep understanding of all their individual needs, not take a broad brush approach to my leadership. So I just wanted to get to know and love the people. And I did so much, and I loved them and nurtured them. And we brought this beautiful community back together. Like it was this garden that was blossoming, and they were peer-to-peer regulating. Like in franchising is to talk about, I was the principal of the kindergarten sometimes, and there's lots of rules around branding and, you know, inappropriate things on social media and things like that. And depending on the kind of brand you work at, that would come to me and I would have to call that person or haul that in.
Yeah.
Got to a point at Harcourts, if someone sort of coloured outside the lines, another business owner would ring them and go, mate.
Because they cared. They cared about the reputation, the perception and everything.
Yeah. And that allowed me not to have to intervene always at that level, and it could continue to build the kind of strong relationships. Real focus around property management, making sure it got the emphasis that it needed.
Deserves.
And the time and spending, you know, and looking at our benchmarking and talking to our property managers saying, if you want to be on stage, getting those awards, this is what that looks like. How can we help you around that? But with our wonderful admin team as well. And just caring for everyone. You know, it kills me when I get feedback of people in leadership positions that walk into an office and walk straight past everyone in that office and go into the principal's office and shut the door.
And only give the attention there. Yeah.
I mean, they're the last person I would go and see everyone, chat. I would know everyone. You know, room. You have to. Like I can tell you, you know, Shatika at Harcourt's Toongabbie, her VA's name is Diane. Michael Garso, and like Leo, you know, like they're all part of our team. And people are like, how do you know that? Well, if you care enough, you're going to make the time to know that.
Yeah. Now, I have acted for Harcourt's franchisees, and at the time when this all happened, because you were let go from Harcourt's, unexpectedly, it was unexpected for the industry. I can't imagine how that was for you. How did that day pan out? Like, did you see it coming?
No, I didn't see it coming. And, you know, it's taught me a lot about leadership and managing people and highlighting blind spots and things like that and giving people that opportunity, because I'd never want anyone to feel how I felt. I haven't really talked about the detail of it, but the situation and as I said, I want to put the context around that. I really enjoyed my time there. I learned a lot there and they were really good people. But how it came about, I happened to be up at a conference which I had to facilitate, a lead facilitator role. And someone high up in management gave me a big hug and they said, I can't believe we're losing such an amazing leader.
So you didn't even know and they let it slip like that?
And I didn't know. So it obviously had been decided at a board level and kind of arranged.
Wow.
And I was like, and I saw their face and I had business owners around me and I'm really professional. I thought, and I'm smart enough to understand corporate. And corporate can be rough and tumble.
Yeah.
And I also want to say I knew I would never be there forever. I said probably 5 years and would be my time to hand the baton on to a fresh lens anyway.
Yeah.
So I would have been really open to that conversation. So I was like, I think I'm getting knifed. But I'm at this conference and I've got business owners, and I had a business owner with me whose husband had died suddenly that year, and it was the first time she was going to be attending, and I promised her I would sit with her.
Yeah.
And so this was day one. I was presenting on day 3. So I said nothing. I was like a shell of myself. And
you couldn't even ask anybody.
No, people were kind of avoiding me because that person I obviously kind of thought she knows now, and then people the whole thing felt awkward. But I didn't want to let on, you know, again, I was just trying to continue to do. So I stayed and did my job. I facilitated that session, got really kind of great feedback.
Yep.
I checked in with my boss that night. He's like, oh, no. And by the Monday, I sort of got the call saying, hey, I'm flying down to have a conversation with you.
Okay.
And look, it was really respectful. There was no like walking on the spot or anything like that. I stayed for a month and wanted to manage the situation as best as possible because I loved the business owners so much. But it caused a huge disruption. And I think it could have been handled better. And I certainly tried to hold my own grace with it. You know, you can always reflect back. But in that time since, I've never thrown barbs from the sideline or tried to, you know, from any way, shape or forward, because I still do love them and love the brand, and I wouldn't want to detract away from the brand whatsoever. You know, it's just my personal experience. And, you know, I had to take the learnings, but it really did hit me for 6.
Yeah.
And from a personal standpoint, it was a really tough time for me.
Yeah. I think we probably hadn't been in touch if we'd see each other or whatever.
Yeah.
We'd say hi and everything. But following that announcement, the ripple effect to the franchisees, I had probably 3 that I can think off the top of my head who contacted me with their franchise agreement and said, how do we get out? If Kat's not at the helm, we don't want in. And I was like, I've never had that. Like, I've been, you know, in the game for a while. We've had CEOs change at other franchise groups, corporate groups, whatever. And I'd never, ever, ever had a franchisee say, get me out of this franchise agreement because the CEO is gone. And I thought that spoke volumes. And I reached out to you to let you know that, because I didn't know what had happened or what had gone on behind the scenes, but I thought, God, for someone to have made such an impact like that these business owners are considering leaving the brand because of whatever happened. I was like, that's unheard of. And you should know that, because you should be really proud of that, of what you did with those franchise owners.
And I was sort of blown away when you told me that. And at the time, also, a lot of them rallied around, and we had an awards night coming up, and they boycotted. 150 people didn't go to an awards night. And again, that broke my heart, because I never would want anyone to miss out on something for me. And they're like, no, you don't understand. This is the only thing we can do. We've got no control over this, so we can show you by making this decision, right?
Yeah.
And but again, like I was like, look, and because it became so, like it blew up and it was so tainted, and the emotions and the abuse, I was like, what can I do to quell this? I was given a beautiful opportunity to, as I said, to work out my time and then have a farewell, and be able to, write that copy myself and things like that. So, that was done respectfully. And then about 8 weeks later, after it all happened, so something that I learned through this process as well is once you earn over a certain amount of money in Australia, there's no such thing as unfair dismissal.
Yes.
So, you don't have to, there's no performance management. There was no conversations and things like it. So basically, you're not protected at work, really.
Yeah.
It just does. Those rights don't exist. So I'd been in business for a long time, and I didn't even realize that I was subject to that. So there was no point kind of going down that avenue, and I didn't consider it. But about 2 months after it all happened, and there was still so much unrest in the network, which really broke my heart. I must say, unexpectedly, my bonus was paid. Okay. So again, still entitled to my bonus.
Yeah.
And it just arrived in my bank account with no context around it. So some of the business owners that really bled blue, that were really impacted, I picked up the phone and I said to them, because I lived their values, doing the right thing, and I said, I need you to know that they did the right thing.
Oh, that's nice.
And I wanted to, because that was important for them.
Higher ground.
Yeah, I thought it was important that they knew that.
Yeah. I just think that Harcourt seemed to have been on such an increased trajectory. There were new offices coming on all the time, bigger growth than from the outside looking in.
Sure.
Growth that it hadn't had for however long prior. And from the outside, it just seemed like such a wild card decision to make. And then to replace you with another man. It just made no sense. And I'm sorry you had to go through that. I think this industry can be really, really tough. I think as a female particularly, like you and I both have copped it from other areas where we've, been on the receiving end of some not so nice
it can
things.
be really vicious,
But in my circumstance, a lot of it was behind closed doors, but that was so public.
That was probably the hardest part, and it was like a lot of public support, so don't get me wrong. I had literally 300 DMs. My phone didn't stop ringing, people reaching out to me, sending me text messages, and I wanted to get back to all of them, but it was reliving it. And they were going, but why? Did you do, something must have happened, something big, and so that was really hard because
what did you do?
So trying to relive that and, go through all that. Shout out to my friends at Lang & Simmons. So they jumped on straight away. Obviously, Leanne and all that, and Jackie Jones have been friends for a while. They provided me their counsellor, their unlimited use. They have a wonderful counsellor, Gina, and they're like, this is something we can do for you. And we really think, because I was in a bad way. I couldn't leave. I had massive social anxiety. So I went from being this kind of on stage, talking to 800 people, presenting at a conference, to not being able to leave my house. And because I had this, it's so funny how your brain works. In my mind, I thought everyone will know that I'm just a loser. I'm like everyone that will be looking at me, and I just couldn't face that. So I had a trip booked to Queenstown, and I was so scared to go to the airport. Now I was someone on planes every week because of the social anxiety around that. And I felt safe, bunkered down at home and kind of in a bubble and protected. And I didn't know how I was going to move past that. And I wouldn't have without therapy. Yeah. And of course, what happens when you go through trauma, it then brings up other stuff.
Of course.
So I was like, oh, here we go.
Let's go back 15 years.
There's going to be a whole heap of stuff coming up here. But I did do some really amazing work, and obviously my beautiful son Lockie works in mental health space. Yeah. So having his support and him home every day to guide me through that and what that looked like. I thought I was going to leave the industry. I was done. Because you feel really embarrassed. You go through all these emotions. People must think you've done something wrong, or I couldn't explain it. And And again, I didn't really ever get a good explanation. And to your point about growth, look, I am more customer service related than a franchise growth person.
Yeah.
I'm about build the people, build our businesses, make our businesses that we have bigger and stronger and retain them and then get good growth. I'm not growth at any cost.
Yeah.
Because I've seen networks do that. And like it might be a vanity metrics for a moment. But, a couple of years later, you've got to go and clean your network up again, which I had done.
Yeah.
So, from that perspective, I just think we were misaligned about dots on a map and actually building good, sustainable growth. So, I put my hand up around that for sure.
Okay.
So it was just like, all right, well, I'm in this huge messy middle but lots of conversation, people like messaging me saying, we've never met, but you've had such an impact. And is there something I can do for you?
Wow.
Like Pedro, one of our beautiful business owners, rings me, and Harcourt's business owner, and he said, I don't know if you believe in healers, but I want to gift you my healer.
Oh my God.
If you need, what can we, everyone was like, what can we do? I had another business owner that sort of rang me and caught me on a really bad day. And he's like, if I have to get in my car and take you to anywhere you need to get help today, what can we do? What can we do to help you? So the rallying around was just, I was so overwhelmed by it. Yeah. And I said to my son, Lockie, one day, and I'm like, how am I ever going to repay this kindness? He's like, Mum, you don't get it. It's because you've already given it.
Exactly right. Yeah.
That's why these people care and love about you, but I felt really overwhelmed by it. Yeah.
I remember when we spoke and how you were saying, how you were thinking about leaving the industry. Yeah. And I'm like, I've been there, done that. When I'd left one of my jobs, I literally left the country after, a couple of weeks of abuse or whatever you want to call it. I was like, I remember coming home to my husband. I was like, I'm going to Ireland. My mum's Irish. I was like, I want to go to Ireland. He's like, okay, when? I'm like, no, now. I want to go now. I'm like, I'm booking a flight, and I left the following week. And just, to clear your head, to get out of the space, and to kind of find your way back to where you belong, right?
To you, to understand it. And it's fun. And lots of my really good friends are blokes. So blokes want to fix everything. So, right, I've rung John McGrath, you met him, they had all this. I'm like, I'm a shell of myself. I can't turn up to a meeting. I'm not even ready to think. But one thing my friend Hilly did do for me, David Hill, if anyone who knows watching, the crazy David Hill, was he did remind me how much I love and what I felt like I had nothing to offer. I really felt like this deep-seated loser. And he said, babe, the thought of walking into another Harcourt, a lot of the Harcourt's business owners were like, come and consult for us and things. It just felt scary. I just, it was too close. He said, I need some work done around my property management and things like that. He's like, how about every Thursday we try and get you out of the house? You can come for 1 hour, 2 hours. My team from Rain and Horn. And so I started doing that. I was so nervous the first time and sit in a meeting. Then I'm like, oh, what about this? What about, I went straight into consulting mode, and they're beautiful people. And then that kind of became a regular
got your
thing.
Confidence back.
Yeah, it did. It reminded me that I had value to add. We did some really cool stuff with the business, and I enjoyed my time with them. And it kind of was like, I need to stay. I want to keep contributing. So. And
then Urban come in, swoop you up.
Well, that's a really interesting story because I had some offers. I had some things come my way. I was really nervous about making the wrong choice because I'm mindful at my age and probably where I am in my career. Franchising was probably done for me. I'd worked, to get myself to where I was, I had to work for a couple of brands. And so I'm like, well, there's nowhere really else to go. Fair trading, I've done work with them. So was it a government opportunity? Potentially. And my friend Caroline Boulderstone, she'd been coaching for Urban, and I'd seen, and she works with top-end businesses. I'd seen that, then they'd been on my radar for a little bit, and I'd been watching, and I reached out to her and I said, tell me about this business. What are they doing? What's different? Because I'm disillusioned with franchising. They're a sizable business. And she said, look, why don't I just connect you with Chris, who owns it? And I'm like, oh, look, it'd be great even just to meet him.
Yeah.
And this was kind of about 3 months in. I was sort of done a fair bit of work on myself. And I rang him, and he's like, we just had a discussion that we need a CEO for this business.
The universe.
And he's like, and I believe in things are meant to be. When can we meet? And we met 3 times. They were really great. They put a really great offer and a contract together for me in December. I didn't start till the end of January. I wanted to have some time off, but they wanted to give me certainty before Christmas. They just ticked a lot of boxes. The team was amazing. And so I'm their first ever CEO for that business.
How big is Urban?
Yeah, so there's urban real estate and urban land housing.
Okay.
Urban land housing would be one of the largest project land sales businesses across New South Wales. So, thousands of blocks of land.
Yeah.
And then
which are becoming a lot more hot commodity at the moment following the budget release.
It's quite fortuitous for us, our business that we're in, and we do build a stock and house and land packages, although that they need to be new supply.
Yeah.
So we operate in that space. And then off the back of that, so they call it paddock, or we call it paddock to PM. So Chris would sell out these housing land estates, and we'd know everyone. So you'd sell the whole estate, you have everyone's data, maybe 5,000, 10,000 people, and then the land would register, they'd build their homes, they may want to tenant them, they may need to sell that by them.
Yeah.
So they'd negotiate with the developer as they built the shopping centre that we would get exclusive access to go into the shopping centre, and we'd open up a real estate office. And basically we already knew all the people.
Okay.
And then so it's that paddock to PM, we could then meet their resi needs. So the resi side of the business, we now have 16, 17 locations. We're just opening another one up in Illawarra. We've got another one in the Hunter Valley at the end of the year, and looking at opening another one. And they're all owned. They're not franchised. Chris owns everything. The minimum standard of all of our fit outs is like $500,000. Like it's like the BMW showroom. They all smell the same. The music's on. And we're very flexible, and we can kind of be quite bespoke in what we do because we don't have the guardrails of franchising.
Yes.
It's Chris's business. I had a meeting with a great agent today, which potentially is not in our paddock to PM model, but a great agent is like, yep, we can pivot. What does that look like? We can build that model. So we're looking at partnership models. I've been doing a lot of presenting around compliance, and people come up to me and go, we're just jack of owning our business.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, we can parachute you into our business. We've got the infrastructure. We've built these beautiful offices.
We've got all the back end.
We've got all the back end and things like that. Look, we're not even, Chris has no ego. Like if you meet the kind of...
No ego, and he's a real estate, real estate agent?
No ego. Well, he's a project land sales person, completely, if you meet the kind of criteria, if you want it to be urban real estate Johnson, like if you literally want your name on the livery, we would look at that. So we have so much flexibility within our model. Amazing. Yeah. It's really fun.
Refreshing. It's very refreshing. You touched on fair trading. So let's talk a little bit about fair trading at the moment. What is your view of the industry at the moment?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think we hear, obviously there's been some huge big cases and things like that. I do genuinely believe there might be some really micro areas where that's, more concentrated or saturated. Yeah. But I think for the most part, people want to do the right thing. Absolutely. They want to be compliant, but they're struggling to understand what that actually, how they bring it to life. There's this supervision guidelines. Oh, yeah, I've got that in a folder. Exactly. But what does that look like operationally in your business? And it's arduous. We're a really big business, so we've just employed, and it's a decent salary, a compliance manager to sit across our whole business who only looks at compliance.
And that's not even AML.
No,
right? That's separate.
No, that's separate again, right? Yeah. So that's doing all of our audit checks, our file checks, updating all of our policies and procedures. So a small business owner doesn't have the access to be able to do that and to sit across our workflows and things like that. So we're always happy to share that kind of stuff too, because we know how expensive that is to build that out. So from that perspective, I do think that for the most part, people want to do the right thing. Yeah. They're just struggling to know how. And when they're being breached or some, things are happening where they're getting fines, it's really because either they just haven't put something into practice or it's a creep. And I mean in terms of a compliance creep, which sometimes we bend. Not a person who's a creep. Yeah, not a person who's a creep. Compliance like a creep in terms of, and sometimes we bend the rules for top performers. And as leaders, we have to absolutely stamp that out in the industry.
Agreed.
We had a high-profile top performer in our business, and we were prepared to let them go to say, the way we do business matters.
Exactly.
When that particular high-profile case came, I kind of wrote a memo to all of our young agents and things like that, and you can win by doing the right thing. And our customers ought to be able to expect that from us.
Absolutely.
So I think by and large, the industry is a huge amount of great people, and I can testament to that because they rallied around me and they were wonderful. But the ones that are bad are quite really bad.
And they're loud.
Yeah.
They're loud. That's why we hear about it. You do a lot with fair trading. Yeah. What conversations are you having with them about the industry overall?
Yeah, so I was appointed to the Property Services Expert Panel, and that was up and running. So that was sort of one of only a handful of people that would be able to work directly with the government around policy and things like that. And look, again, we're just giving our opinion and unintended consequences, whether they take it on board, but better to have a seat at the table and not to have a seat at the table.
Exactly.
And to kind of explain in practical terms what that could look at.
Yeah.
Like, what I found by that, like, you know, also got to work with the tenants union and a lot of tenancy reforms, Katrina Jones, is that we all want the same thing.
Yeah.
We really wanted to get to the same place. We just had differing points of view of how we could get there. So having mutual respect and common ground and making sure that we are doing legislative changes that it actually was going to move the industry forward and not take it backwards or you know, make it harder for rentals, because that's really challenging at the moment. I have a strong belief, and we are very much in mortgage belt and we have a massive rent roll, that we don't have a rental crisis anymore. We have a rental affordability crisis.
Yeah, agreed.
We have put rents up so much because
they're only going to go up higher,
people can't afford to rent their houses.
Yeah.
So they're actually sitting vacant because people, or they've got two families that have to live together, or we've outpriced ourselves in the rental market. And so we really need to have a good look at that.
Yeah. I think as well, whenever there have been changes that have been implemented, the default position is to throw our toys out of the cot and be like, no, they didn't consult anybody. How are we going to handle this? But, you know, I remember when the Residential Tenancies Act got updated back in 2010, and it was, holy moly, our world's going to end because of all these changes. And before, like, overnight, all of a sudden, it was normal.
Yeah.
And they just announced, I think Katrina Jones announced the other day that it had been a year since they'd outlawed the no grounds termination notices. And I was like, I reckon in that whole year, I probably had 3 calls about issues that arose as a result of, you know, a termination notice.
Pets and tenancies was going to cause all this.
I just think we're so quick to, this is going to make our job more difficult, but the reality is it really doesn't. We just don't like change.
You just have to work with it. And I think it is that change management piece. And you're right. And I would always give examples. Hey, they don't have that in Queensland. This is how they operate. Or, you know, like it was like, remember when we had to put the landlord's
contact details
on it, and they've been doing that in Victoria for years. And like the world was going to end. And so I think I try and be as a
God
leader.
forbid a landlord and tenant get in touch with each other. Like, what are you scared of?
Occasionally that does end. But I think having good communication policy around that, I try and be really calm and measured in the approach. Let's think about what we can do, what we can't do, how do we inform our clients. Some of the things I worked on really hard when working with the government was getting the fact sheets in really plain English, dot points. Real estate agents will play in the grey. I love you guys looking straight down the camera. But if we can give them some grey, they will find it. So just be black and white. You can do this, you can't do this. This is the scenario around it. Just give them the rules. And I think even with the supervision guidelines, I probably buck popular opinion. I'd love them to be more prescriptive. I'd like to just be prescriptive. Again, just be really, really clear. We want you to do this, you know, and then we all know what we've got to do.
I think the issue that I find is when the legislation was drafted, buyer's agency wasn't really
considered at all.
Yes. So, you know, I was in a buyer's agency office the other week because they wanted to get their compliance up and running. I'm like, hey, where are your supervision guidelines? And they're like, what?
Yeah, wait, what?
Yeah. And then it's like, well, hold on. You don't have a trust account, so you don't need to worry about that. Like, where's your gift register? Wait, what? Like,
the gift register, I felt personally abridged by the gift. Like I got into real estate for the gifts. No, I'm only joking. But you know what I mean? I'm like,
best time, Christmas time, the amount of Westfield gift cards we'd get. Like, there's like a florist as well in there. It was great. Lots of champagne too. But yeah, I think there's a lot of red tape. I think there's a lot of rules and regulation that are obviously there for the right reason. Whether they can tighten that a little bit more and make it so black and white, I think is great, because the amount of conversations that I have as well about, is this underquoting? The media has this perception of what underquoting is, and by definition, it's not what's actually happening.
But to that point, absolutely, we have rules around that. But if your client feels like you're not being transparent or authentic, it's just as bad in my view. Like we're missing the mark there. Like, we don't have to have all this trickery to get deals done.
No.
Really, guys, we can just have open conversation. This is what it's going to look like. And that comes on buyers' ends as well.
And buyers get it wrong, which is fine. You've got to adjust. But, I'm interested to see what comes of that recent investigation, and if I think the change is happening, because the agents that I speak to, that you would speak to, they're not out to do the wrong thing.
No.
People want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So, and I'm more concerned obviously about the younger generation that are coming in, that are looking at certain people in the industry and the flashiness and the ego and all that kind of stuff and getting the wrong idea. So I'm all for more education in this space.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of existed for a while. And again, it comes down to leadership and good culture. You look at business, like really great leaders in the business and how they look after their people. I'm all about wealth creation. So I'm late to the game because my age does start with a 5. But I went to Leading Ladies, which is hosted by Ray White, and Mel Brown Money. And if you're a young female and you don't follow her, she's awesome. And talking about trading, and so like just a basic Vanguard account. And again, disclaimer, I'm not authorized to give trading financial advice. But talking about young people are time millionaires. So I've always invested in property because I'm a property girl, you know, but very sort of simple thing. If they started that young in their very first job and just put a couple of $100 a month in and just set and forget, just a trading account, you know, beautiful compounding interest, you're looking at having multi-millions of dollars.
Totally. Like I'm late to that party too. Offline, tell me more about it.
Yeah, so we've got to actually put quite a lot in a month. But you're much younger than me, so I'll show you. So I read it, so I got her book and I gave it to all of our young property managers and I talked to them about it. I'm thinking, pay some of those little things forward for your team as well. Like us, we're in land sales and opportunity to buy land at first stage, hold it, and then typically land is sold a bit cheaper at stage 1 to get sales in and things like that. And as scarcity rule, when there's not as much land, up. You could hold it, would go up. So even encouraging them, you know, within our own business to be able to look at for those opportunities.
Perfect. So what change would you like to see in the industry?
Look, I think leadership, like actually teaching people to be good leaders. Like I was a leader with training wheels on. I mean, it's not, you don't get given a book on how to be a CEO. There isn't one. And, you know, you don't want to learn that on the job because there's people that, you know, that you're in charge of. And I would say I'm a better leader than a manager. I don't really enjoy managing people. I like being a leader and setting a tone and strategy. But actually having people get promoted in this industry because same property management, something like that. They've been there the longest or, you know, so they end up being a team leader and they're a really great property manager, but they have absolutely no leadership capability. And then, you know, my job is to create a safe workplace for, you know, the 250 people that work for us. And sometimes then it's not with this leader. And it comes down to us because we haven't done the work to actually teach people to be good leaders. Yeah. There's more training around it, but I still don't think we invest in that and understand what that looks like. I have to understand, you know, I talk about small is all. If it matters to my people, it has to matter to me. Yeah. So I have to have a deep understanding of that and of our people. And that's something, you know, you have to have really high EQ and things like that. That can be taught, but it's sort of learned over time as well. Yeah. But we just need better leaders if they're looking after our people because that's why I think we're losing a lot of people in the industry.
Do you think because you've how your career has progressed, you're a mum, you're a woman, that some of those leadership qualities have come to you more naturally because of how you were out on your own from a really young age, you've had to kind of learn as you go. And do you think have those opportunities come to you because you've put your hand up for them or you were pinpointed, we're going to give you this opportunity? Like, have you had to fight to get there?
Yeah, I definitely had to fight. And like many women, I held myself back, imposter syndrome, waited for people. I felt like I had to get an MBA, because I didn't finish high school either, you know, so I felt like I didn't have the runs on the board. And it was an opportunity, kind of my whole leadership, the CEO side of things. Once you get that title, and I'm not a title girl, it just opens up opportunities and people offer board positions and different things like that. So I'm very grateful for that. But I had been put forward by someone for a podcast. It was the Wire podcast with Sardna and I think Grace Ormsby. And she's a fresh voice. She should speak to Katrina Tarrant. And I did that podcast, and halfway through, I was business growth manager at First National. I left Rain and Horn. And Sardna was like, we need to get you a better job. Like, why aren't you a leader? Like in the break. And she's like, let me make a few calls.
Wow.
And she actually, that kind of started from that, where I went through 7 rounds of interviewing to be the Property Services Commissioner. Yeah. Now, I'd never held a C-suite role and things. So, you know, at the end I got down to...
Imagine if you were the Property Services Commissioner now. God.
The bottom 2. And I didn't deserve the role. But going through all of that, I met all the ministers and things like that. Gave me a self-belief that, hey, I could do this. So I kind of then... I do a keynote about how I used Instagram to become a CEO. So I kind of put myself out there more, and that thought leader
piece. Monday motivation, all of that. Yeah,
and because you got to get yourself on people's radars. And then people started seeing me differently, and that opportunity came. And then once you get that first opportunity, it's kind of like a snowball down the hill from there.
So what advice would you give to other women who want to emulate your career path?
I'd say back yourself, be prepared to put yourself out there, which sometimes can be tricky, as you and I both know, because on the flip side of that, some of the work that I've done, I've lost friends and had people really come for me that it was heartbreaking, and I didn't understand. I think I said to you once, trying to punch my way out of a corner. I don't even know why I'm in it. And it felt really overwhelming. But reach out. Like, people are so successful. People are so abundant with help and connecting you, like having that connection, that person that put me up for that podcast. And then those people saw something in me. So continue to pay it forward. I try and connect those dots for people all the time. I take every meeting, even when I don't have time to take the meeting, even when we already have a business partner and I can't do business with them, because I can get to know that person. I might not be able to do business with them, but someone might ask me and I'll say, hey, I know a really great look, I can, which I have been able to do and connect those dots, So I think that's like that power of connection and the value of relationships. Never underestimate that. And I would say to people listening that I would always be happy to do that for anyone.
Do you think, at being a female, is it your experience that other women have helped push you up and applaud your success? Or have you found in some instances that they're the first ones to kind of bring you down?
I've had column A and column B, but I really am very mindful of the people that are close in my life. And I think about my beautiful friendship group. And it's funny, Amanda, my friend who's a buyer's agent, we're at Mel Brown, not Mel Brown, that's my money, Mel Robbins. Let them. And Mel Robbins was telling a story about how her friend got the house she wanted and she was quite jealous, and she was talking about how she was a jealous person. And Amanda and I both looked at each other at the same time, and I'm like, oh, I've never been jealous of you. And she's like, and not in a bad way, like we just don't feel that. Like, if she wins, I win. Yeah. When she's losing, I'm losing.
Always like that.
Yeah. So, no, the people I have around me now, definitely not. I think, yes, certainly. And the only other thing I would say is, don't be a credit taker. Don't take credit for stuff you have not done.
Yeah.
I'm very abundant with giving things, and then you'd have someone stand up at a presentation and then pitch your idea, and like you'd be like, but I'll still be abundant, and I'm not going to choose not to do that. The things that happened to me shape me, and I won't be changed by it.
Yeah, I think that's a good lesson to take away, that it does shape you. I think the experiences that I went through, I probably wouldn't be sitting in this seat right now if I hadn't have gone through them. But I think younger women, I've been asked recently to speak at my high school coming up, and so I've been thinking a lot about from year 12 onwards, and I'm like, what messages can I impart on these 17 and 18-year-olds? And it was an all-girls school, and I'm like, God, some of like the worst experiences I've had in my career have been because of women. How can I but at the same time, some of the best experiences I've had are because of women, and I think women need to be in the spotlight more, especially in the industry that we're in. So I'm having this real conundrum of like, okay, I'm going to try to sell the dream to these teenagers about what does life look like after high school, but be really real with them that, it can be really bloody tough. And the people who you think are your biggest supporters might not end up being your biggest supporters.
Yeah, and there's heartbreak, and, and that leaves a scar. But that's okay. Our choice is whether we hide the scars or show them sometimes. And so I like to lead with a lot of vulnerability, and I'll talk about those moments and have conversations. I really believe as a leader, no one should end up at performance review and not know that they're there. We've failed in our role. Like, we haven't sat down and had those kind of really candid conversations, which can be really beautiful and supportive. People, don't understand that. I was talking to a friend of mine last night, and he's got a pay rise. He works in real estate. He was really excited, but he said, I got some feedback that, I can be really abrupt to my coworkers. And I said, well done that your manager has given you, because were you aware of that? And he's like, no, I thought, he's like, at first I got defensive. I'm like, receive that in the way it's been offered to you, because whether you think you're doing it or not, that's how you've made someone else feel. Yeah. Address that, have that kind of self-awareness. That's like evolving. And he's like, so, that kind of thing. And that's growing. And even in having conversations and being with your friends and having deeper conversations with people that you love and care about this makes me feel this way. And maybe it's like way too much therapy, but that for me, I believe in my therapy. And the other thing is the way in which I make decisions and encourage people to think about decisions, because lots of things will happen when you're a leader. They're like, whoa. And so first of all, I think about, am I going to challenge that? Like, do we want to die on every hill, right? Do you want to get, and in my earlier corporate years, mate, I'm firing that email back. I'm defensive. I'm defensive of my business owners. Now I kind of step back a little bit and think, look, I really don't like it, but is it really, and if it's worth challenging, and I had one instance that I've been at Urban, with the owner that I'm like, I really believe in, we've got this wrong, and I'm going to challenge that. I'll have the courage of my conviction, but you don't need to challenge everything.
Yeah.
Can I accept it? Can I not like it, but accept it and move on?
Okay.
Might not be my course that I would have taken. I'd probably course correct it, but I can accept it. And can I just completely let it go? Like not think about it again.
I need to be taking notes.
And I teach, that's how I make every decision that comes past my desk now. And it's just such a good process to go through. And then you're like, oh, no, skip on.
I'm going to be watching this back and I'm going to be taking notes straight away.
One of my friends who's like an overthinker is like, you're such an underthinker these days. Because, you know, like holding on to stuff, I really think, and maybe as you get older and it is an age thing, and I really wish, it's like anything, you wish you'd learnt it when you were younger, but I was busy raising kids and just trying to hold my crazy life together. Is holding angst or anger or negative feelings here. It's not healthy. Yeah. This beautiful life of ours goes so quickly. I want to enjoy it. I want to be healthy. I want to spend it with people that I love.
Absolutely.
I don't want to there's so much opportunity that something, you know, could come my way and I don't know. I don't want to add to that.
Absolutely. All right, let's sidestep.
All right.
Any horror stories, whether that's you yourself experience that opens, any of your business owners, like, what hit me? What's the worst one?
I'll give you a corporate horror story that actually it makes me laugh, but I'm still triggered by it. So, and I hate having my photo taken. So my very first ever corporate role was at Century 21. Okay. I was the national franchise coordinator. Then I got promoted to area manager, which meant I had to stand on stage and hand out the awards. Okay. Because I was the token female. Yeah. Absolutely terrorised me. So I'm there doing my best, smiling, presenting. Guys would like lean in, whisper disgusting things in your ear. So some of the photos you'd be like, because of what they'd said to you. They're like, oh, whatever. Da, da, da. And anyway, halfway through the night, the photographer, the professional, ushers me over because I had a little thing I had to stand on. Cat. And I'm like, yeah. He's going to say, doing a great job. And he's like, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're reasonably attractive in real life, but you take a really bad photo.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, I don't know how I can fix my face. Like between now and the 5 minutes I go back on stage. So it's like gutted. And that really, and then in corporate, as you know, you had you photographed all the time. I had such a hang up about it.
Oh my God, what an asshole. Yeah. What an asshole.
So it kind of become a joke. Everyone's like, oh, she takes a really bad photo.
I don't think I've ever seen a bad photo. And you're so confident on social media. Like, you know, if you do have a hang up about it, it doesn't come across.
So, yeah, so that was, but again, I don't know if any man's ever had that conversation. And I've had lots of conversations about, you don't look like a CEO. And I was like, what would you like me to look like?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What does a CEO look like?
To cut your hair and things like that. And again, a lot of women tell you that as well. Apparently, if you have long blonde hair, you know, you have zero credibility. I don't know, I'd like to think my master's degree might stand for something. Yeah.
I was actually reminiscing on some of like the instances that I had, you know, horror stories and whatnot. But I was a lot blonder in my younger years and I was quite good at my job when I was at McGrath and I was studying obviously law at the same time. And I remember I coloured my hair back to like an original. It was just too expensive for that age to keep it very blonde. And I had a client say, oh, now I can take you more seriously. Yeah. I was like, are you serious? I'm still the same person I was a week ago. Yeah. Like, it's wild.
And I'm a warm person and I'm a bit like easygoing by nature and things like that as a leader. And I do think people can misconstrue that or, I don't know, maybe see that as a bit of a weakness. Yeah. I truly believe as a leader you have to be just who you are. So it's like what you see is what you get. I'm quite genuine. And with my love of people and how I talk, I don't really care about corporate jargon and sounding like a leader. Yeah. You know, I'll talk from the heart about how I feel about the situation. I'll lean in and have candid conversations. So again, that's for them. I can't control what people think about me. You just hold your sort of head up high. But I've learned that over time. For a while, I was kind of twisting and turning myself, trying to, do I have to present myself in another way? Yeah. Like, am I not dressing? I think if you go down that rabbit hole,
it's hard to get out.
It really is, yeah.
Have you ever felt that you were treated differently by men or women because of your gender?
Absolutely. And especially when there's like, you might be sitting around an executive table and there'd be action items and one's a more admin-based task.
Really?
Cat.
Wow.
Admin girls, do stuff boys. And I would say, even, that's modern history, I would say, in that experience. So, yes, still to that point. Yeah.
And still now, even in your position, like do you have, maybe not now at Urban, but have you had instances where you're having to, manage men in whatever capacity, whether they're business owners or whatever the case may be, have you found that they gave you the same respect that they would have if it was a man coming to them with the same issue?
I have to say that the Harcourt's business owners were really good to me. Once we got over that initial hurdle where they'd been let down, they're like, hey, she knows the stuff.
Yeah,
she knows how to run really. And I'm very hands-on. Like, I'd roll my sleeve up and I'd be in helping them run their office, not just send like a little email out as the CEO.
Yeah.
So, you know, that credit, I think having credibility is really important in any kind of corporate role, because they're like, oh, who are they sending into my office?
Yeah.
You have to know and how to affect change within their business. So I'd have to say, honestly, and even, you know, like Harcourt's has had quite a lot of female leaders sitting across their business. Likewise, we do at Urban as well. When I look at my executive leadership team, our director of talent, our director of operations, I've just promoted T, who's been in our business for 7 years, to director of property management, which brought me immense joy. Yeah. And actually, I had an invite to a heads of department lunch last week, and I said, it's your turn now. Oh. It's your seat at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my time to hand that baton on. And she was just overjoyed, and she earned her spot to be there, and so to be able to give that to her. So no, not as much now, but I still sometimes there's still some undertones, and maybe from people that don't know you or whatever. They're like, oh, you're a CEO, or you know, and you're like, I went to an International Women's Day lunch a couple of years ago. Rumour Monday was hosting, and John McGrath was there, and I sat at a table with a lawyer type guy, bit of a big wig. And I was introduced, and he said, Katrina works in corporate, in real estate, I think. And he's like, oh, well, you'd be in admin or property management. And someone, it might have been John or someone, said, oh, Kat's actually the CEO.
Yeah.
And he was a bit like, because
he was a lawyer.
Yeah, he was. It was like International Women's Day. I think I had pink linen pants on. I had like a little T-shirt that said, to be kind is to be cool, with a ring.
Yeah.
But so what? You know, but it was just that kind of perception thing.
That's a whole other issue, the legal industry. I won't go into some of the experiences that I've had when they, you know, dealing with, I'm a partner, but I'm dealing with partners in other law firms who have obviously been doing it a lot longer than I have. But yeah, just the differences in the way that they communicate with me versus like a male partner in my team. It's wild. It's really disheartening sometimes.
It can be disheartening. You know, you just plow through, because what's the point? But it's definitely a conversation to be had. The other thing, if I may address that, is, and I just did a video actually with Jackie Barnes, which will be dropping next week. She's just done a survey on how women are treated in the industry around sexual harassment. We have an amazing young agent at our Marsden Park office, up and coming. She's just graduated from UNSW architecture degree. And like all of our agents, we encourage them to do more video content to build a warm relationship. She puts herself out there, and then the barrage of disgusting sexualized comments, you know, on the post were bad enough. But the people sliding into her DMs, middle-aged, like she's a young girl in her 20s, men in their 50s.
Married.
Who purport to be not only leaders in this industry, trainers and coaches.
So they're in the real estate industry.
Super coaches.
Wow.
Like sending, you know, and she pulled me aside as CEO. She goes, what do I do? And I felt like I'd failed her. It really gave us a kind of come to Jesus moment
in writing.
In our business, though, to say that when we ask people to do that, whilst I can't control the whole social media landscape, but it does become kind of an extension of our workplace. Yeah. And there's an impact.
Absolutely.
So what are the guardrails we put around that? How do we tighten up our policies, and what are the conversations we have with our young agents, male and female, about, you know, what they can go through on social media? I was heartbroken for her, but, you know, she spoke to me about it, and I said, with your permission, can I address it? She said, I'd absolutely love you to. Yeah. And I'm like, the next time that super coach DMs you, I'm going to give him a call. Yeah. Why don't we encourage her profession? Her video was amazing. She's doing really well. Why don't we as individuals actually encourage, not comment on her looks. Exactly. Encourage what she's doing.
The confidence that she's got to, you know, put herself on camera is crazy.
So that was heartbreaking. That's only like in the last month. Yeah.
So I called you about this podcast, I don't know, a month or so ago, and something I wanted to touch on briefly, because, you know, we just mentioned the assault that she got. Trigger warning, I am going to talk a little bit about suicide and mental health. And when I called you, I think it was a day after you'd been at a funeral. Yeah. And we had a brief conversation, but I just wanted to touch on that, because that was a funeral of a male sales agent.
Mm-hmm. Principal
who had committed suicide. Yeah. But what number was he in that week or month?
10.
When you said that, I just was mind blown. So
even just now saying it again.
So the industry can be so giving, But men and women in this industry are dealing with different battles. Like 10 men in our industry took their own lives in the space of a month?
Yeah.
Fathers, brothers, husbands, business owners, because of the pressures that are put on them versus, the pressures that females might get are different. I don't think and I could be wrong, I'm happy to be corrected. I hope I'm not wrong in this respect, in that the women probably aren't dealing with the same mental health issues that the men are in the industry. And I think that's because the men it is such a male-dominated industry, and a lot of men do talk openly about GCI and their success. And so then there are those who have been operating at a certain level for so long, and if that changes, if that shifts, they can't see a way out.
Yeah, I think that is very true. I certainly think, and obviously when we look at our studies around our property management sort of side of the business, which is by and large still female.
Yep.
What I think women are better at is looking after each other, like our tribe, our friendship group, our conversations, even going to Chat GPT for advice. I'm not, endorsing it, but you know what I mean? Thinking I don't feel like, hey, I want to do something about it.
Yeah.
I do think there's an epidemic still in our country of men and pride and not having that support network around them for them to feel comfortable to talk about their feelings or to reach out and get the help that they need, which is heartbreaking. And because I would have conversations, in my capacity as an area manager in franchising, right? You can see where the decline in their business and numbers. And typically when they stop paying franchise fees and things like that, they owe money to the tax office. The world is crumbling. It's like a deck of cards. It's all going to fall down really quickly. And I remember leaning in, having these conversations and saying, look, I'm worried about you. And it would all come out, and they've been hiding things from their wife, and they were gambling, and, they hadn't talked to anyone about it. And I'm like, maybe there's money missing from the trust. I'm like, anything can be fixed. And it starts with you owning up and just having people. People make mistakes. I don't hate on someone for making a mistake. You just got to put support around it. So I strongly say, and I felt, that was the most heartbreaking thing, going like 44 years old, watching, a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old bury their dad.
Yeah.
That big smile, I felt incredibly guilty. I wish we all did, that we could do more. That the service was eerily quiet because I think we just sat there in shock.
Yeah.
That we were there. It brought the old Century 21 crew back together, and we all came and we loved each other, and we all turned up. Like it's always the irony. There's so much love, and I just wish I could have done more. I'd had that conversation, or he'd reached out. And so I say to anyone, strangers help me at my time, and I would help anyone. There's a no judgment conversation. I would never judge anyone, and it doesn't matter how bad things are. Yeah, people lose their house. You might there's always a way forward.
Exactly. Yeah.
And to have support, and it's not diminishing mental health, because I've certainly my own children have had those struggles, and going through that, I've had those calls that no parent would ever want to have. Kid at St. Vincent's Hospital at 2 a.m, you just, wow. But and just speaks to, I think, the pressure on the industry now, and the pressure for people to have a certain perception.
Absolutely.
And failure, and that was me. I felt like a failure.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to talk about that and understand failure is part of life. Things shift. I found myself in a wonderful opportunity. I had, that one day or that one moment didn't take away from all the work, all the great relationships that I had.
Yeah.
That business chose to take a different direction. I was, I had to do a lot of work. I wasn't in a great mental health state, but you can move on. So I'd say to the blokes in the industry, reach out, get some good mates around,
especially now with the market changing. Yeah. Because I'm hearing it everywhere, and the other women that I've interviewed as well, it's a tough market.
Yeah.
And from a legal side of things, we're seeing, a little bit more movement happening in the sales and acquisitions of businesses and rent rolls, because some people are, they're going to have to start to divest. And I think that it's a time where the industry really is going to have to rally around each other and, check in with everybody. Yeah,
and we can look after things, and this by no means a sales pitch, but I think we need to look at our business differently. Like I said, we've built kind of a big business. If you've got business ownership fatigue, whether it's with us or something else, I think mergers or why do we have to keep competing with each other?
Exactly.
There's enough business to go around, and there's infrastructure there. This kind of high street model where everyone has their own shop front is it's just not profitable anymore. The rise of the mega offices, Con's done a very good job of that at McGrath, building that kind of model, and a support system around people where it's got compliance and all that kind of stuff. So thinking of different ways that we can still all win in this industry without being like so competing against each other, like
tearing each other down. Yeah. There's a lot to be said about the real estate industry overall, but I think one thing that is really positive about it is how it can really rally and support each other when it needs to. And, you know, there could be a couple of bad apples, but the vast majority are all saying the opposite. They're all saying, no, we want to change, we want to do this, and we're not like that. But yeah, I just wanted to touch briefly on that so that as the market changes, as people's revenue starts to drop, reach out. Kat is always available.
And there's the Rise initiative and obviously the Real Care app. So we have an app for our industry which is funded by and large by
tell me more about that.
And they do. Rise initiative does a wonderful thing. I'm not an ambassador, but I have had the privilege of speaking on a panel at a Rise conference. There is access to free counselling. So up to 3 sessions completely free for you or your family member if you're in real estate. It's just on your app, on your phone. Everyone in your office should have it. Some brands have white labelled it. Harcourt's did. Every one of your team members should have that. Obviously, people have EAPs maybe in their broader businesses. But if you're a single operator, that's something that you can offer your team member. Reach out, have the session, just talk to us. Just talking through and getting tools, like I mentioned, to make decisions and things like that. So things seem far less overwhelming, can be incredibly helpful. And I said something when I spoke at Women in Real Estate the other day, and it's something that I'd like to reiterate again, if I may.
Yeah, definitely.
The biggest realization for me in the last kind of 8 months is when I came to when I realized that, because I convinced myself something must be wrong with me, that the only thing that was actually wrong with me was my deep held belief something was wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I let go of that.
Yeah.
Through doing the work, and it just freed me up as a person, as a friend, I just see the world differently now. Yeah,
perfect. I'm glad you came through that. Okay, so do you have any regrets or things you'd have done differently looking back in your career?
Not really. I've had a really broad, I've held every position in a real estate office, been a business owner. I've worked in community housing, co-authored an affordable housing study for Parramatta Council, obviously had worked with the government and different things like that, and got to work in corporate. So I reckon I've had a really broad brush.
Yeah.
So no regrets.
If you weren't in real estate, what would you be doing?
I have no idea, because I've always been in real estate. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm a qualified, I just love doing things, interior decorator, but that's kind of adjacent, like making things look pretty.
Yeah.
Renovating houses, things like that. But I don't know, I love this industry. I can't imagine not being in it.
My favourite pastime is if I book an Airbnb and I go into this house that I've never been to, I visualize how I'd redo it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm if I could be an architect without having to go back to uni and learning math, I'd do that.
The math bit of it. I'm good with money and dollars and percentage and profit.
I'm good at spending it.
But math, architecture, no good.
No. Okay, speaking of money, what's your biggest splurge?
Oh, what's my biggest splurge? In my life, or outside of houses and things,
outside of houses,
material things.
Yeah.
I think the first time I got a Dior handbag or something, which is about 25 years ago, when it was $5,000.
That's a lot of money back then. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and I think.
Do you still have it?
I still have it,
wow.
and it's vintage now.
Yeah,
every time I bring it out, it's and I think the first time I ever flew business class.
Okay.
Not saying that that's all, but then you get very spoiled for life for that.
Well, that's the issue with flying business class, I feel, is because once you do it, you can't go back.
Yeah.
So I actually haven't flown business class because at my mum's Irish, we go back to Ireland every 2 or so years, have my whole life, and my parents only started flying business class recently because they were like, well, we're not going to go back as often, and now we can afford it. We're not raising kids, and although they're spending a lot of money on my kids. But yeah, like I said to my husband, I can't go to Ireland on business class because I'm just going to ruin all my money. I'll have to keep flying business class.
I probably have less holidays, and I wait for that. But having said that, I don't want to sound like that. My whole life is like that.
I want this to be a safe space to brag because men are so comfortable bragging. Why can't we brag?
Yeah.
And especially when you've worked hard to deserve something, you should be allowed to brag and be proud of it.
Yeah.
So on that note, what car do you drive?
Oh, I do. I drive a Mercedes. I drive an E300 coupe.
Nice. So what handbag do you have today?
What did I bring? Oh no, just my work bag, which is a long shot.
Okay, just.
It's not like a,
What's your watch?
Birkin. Oh, I just got this actually. So my friends have a beautiful watch shop, luxury watch shop up in Newcastle. And this is a Frederick Constant.
It's very pretty.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
It's these really like vintage looking, like delicate.
Yeah.
Because I've got kind of the more bigger, showier watches as well.
Yeah.
So I just got this one. Yeah.
Very nice. I was actually up in Newcastle last week. It's a beautiful place in the world.
Well, shout out to Novo Swiss if you want to get a nice watch. They've got nice watches there. And they go and do this such a beautiful experience and the gloves and explain everything. I saw it on your socials as well.
Was there champagne involved?
Yes.
Nice. Yes. Okay, so chocolate in the fridge or pantry?
Oh, definitely the fridge.
Thank you. Finally. I'm sick of all this pantry shit.
In the fridge.
Yes. Sweet, salty or savoury?
Oh, look, a bit of everything. Love a cheese platter, but I'm also a good dessert. Like I'll look at the menu. I'm one of those annoying people that looks at the menu before I go out to dinner.
I do the same.
So I'm ready to order straight away. I expect everyone else to be ready, but they haven't. I'm like, well,
we'd be fine at dinner.
Yeah, we'd be fine. And then I know whether I'm going to have an entree or not based on the dessert menu.
And depending on what's on the dessert menu, what would you go for? A cheese platter or something else?
Look, a cheese platter, probably wouldn't order a cheese platter at dinner.
I do.
Would you?
Yeah.
No, definitely cheese platter. I love a bit of a sticky date pudding or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, now you've thrown one in. If I had to choose between a sticky date and a cheese, I don't actually know what I'd choose.
Yeah.
It would be very hard.
And then if there's scallops and an entree, I can never go past scallops for an entree. They're my go-to. Yeah.
I love a prawn.
I do love a prawn too.
Yeah.
Closely followed.
Wine. Favourite wine?
Well, champagne always. Good champagne to start with. I've drunk a lot of house sparkling wine at corporate events and you're kind of like, oh God.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have 30 glasses, it tastes a bit better.
Yeah.
But I'm liking a Fiano or a Vermentino at the moment, or a Chablis or something like that.
They're literally like the top three that I'm looking for on a menu now.
Basically the same person.
Right. How about
it's really
cocktail?
bad when you go to Mr. Wong's and the sommelier goes, oh, I have your glass of Chablis for you already.
Wow. That's good.
A marg, definitely a marg.
Okay.
Yeah, a spicy margarita, I would say, for a cocktail.
Do you know what? I think out of every woman that I've interviewed so far, we've only had one espresso martini. The rest have been margs.
Oh, look, I love espresso martini as well, but I think they're a strategy drink or a regretful drink at some point. By the time you end up to them.
I don't drink coffee.
It's like a vodka lime soda. That is a strategy drink, and drink responsibly, people.
Yeah.
But people who want to drink all night or long, because no one likes the taste of a vodka lime soda. They just kind of loves it. Like they're just drinking it because it's hydrating you and you're getting a bit of alcohol and things. I think it's a strategy drink. I don't think you ever would love it.
Have you ever had a South Side?
No.
Okay. Next time you go out, order a South Side and then let me know what you think.
That?
It's like a gin and lime. Like it's delicious.
Well, that would be nice. Yeah.
It is very nice. Favorite overseas destination?
Oh, I mean, Italy's always great. Like just go over there. But I actually really love going to Queenstown. So I just got back from Hamilton Island. I think Queenstown New Zealand is much like Hamilton Island for me. You know exactly what you're going to get when you're there.
Yeah.
You're going to be in a little bubble. You're going to love it. You know which restaurant you're going to go to. It's familiar. I think it could be a repertoire thing. You go there every year. I do really love for a quick break going to Queenstown. For a long break, definitely Europe. Is lovely.
Any holidays on the horizon?
No, well, having started a new job, no. But I am going to Thailand at the end of the year. I'm doing a charity bike ride.
Oh, yeah.
I'm doing that later. So it's 500 kilometres, 100 Ks a day for 5 days in Thailand.
Are you going to train for that?
And I'm sure next question would be, oh, well, you're a cyclist. No, I'm not.
No.
I've only just recently actually bought a bike because I run.
Yeah.
And I've started training.
How's your bum going to feel after 500
it's going to be a lot harder than what I think.
Wow.
But I've committed. So.
Yeah, no, good. And now that it's out there, you absolutely have to do it.
Yeah, and I've been doing this compliance training. So I've been donating my speaker fee to my fundraising page.
Amazing.
So I've been able to kind of meet my $5,000 goal.
Oh, there you go. Reality TV.
Yes.
What's your guilty pleasure?
For a long time, I don't watch TV much anymore, podcasts mostly, but I was a Kardashians person. Too. Like the OG, keeping up with the Kardashians.
Yes,
it's kind of a bit like
day.
Artsy and things like that. Now when Chloe used to be in like Wild and things like that.
Getting arrested.
I was here for it, the house and so. And Real Housewives. I mean, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, a little bit of Jason, but Kardashians
for me as well.
Yeah.
What are you listening to at the moment? Podcast or music?
So Mamma Mia, I love consuming women's media. So I listen to a lot of Mamma Mia podcasts. So they're out loud podcasts. I listen to that kind of every day. It's like catching up on bits and pieces. I think really articulate, intelligent. It kind of keeps you right.
Yeah.
Finger on the pulse. So, and then Sally Hepworth. Mabel, I believe her book is.
Perfect. And finally, your favourite restaurant.
Oh, look, really hard, but China Doll.
Oh.
I just think for a long lunch in Sydney, like it's an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah.
Also, it feels like a warm hug. You know exactly what you're going to get there.
Yeah.
Long lunch with the girls. You know,
China Doll is
maybe
great
a
for
magnum of
Yeah.
said wine.
Yeah.
I think you can go. Like, lots of beautiful, there's lots of amazing restaurants in Sydney, but I just think China Doll
being
again.
on the wharf, the whole vibe. It is very quintessential Sydney, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Kat, thank you so much for coming down today and joining us for this conversation. I think we could have kept going, but I'm very conscious of the time. I think you are one of the few voices in the industry that is a loud voice, rightfully so, deservedly so. I'm a big fan. I've enjoyed watching from afar. Now I'm enjoying watching up close. And I think Urban have scored a great win with getting you on board. And I'm excited to see where you take that business to.
Look, I've loved our relationship and getting to know you over the years and in the support that you've offered me. You've gone easy on me today. Thank you too much. It wasn't too hard. So I appreciate it. And I loved our chat.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you for listening to We Are The Table today. We touched on some pretty heavy topics concerning mental health. So if you need to talk to somebody, please contact Lifeline on 13 11 14.
And also remember, we do, as part of the RISE initiative, have the Real Care app, which is our industry app specialised for the real estate industry. It has access to helplines, free counselling. So if you don't have that downloaded on your phone, get your phone out, jump on the App Store, Real Care, and it's got some wonderful resources in there to look after you.
This episode of We Are The Table was filmed and recorded on board the Solare Super Yacht and is proudly sponsored by Swab, award-winning commercial, family and real estate lawyers.